Hey ladies, today we're going to talk about something that's rarely discussed, but that could be the key to understanding what a man really needs in order to connect with you on a deeper emotional level. Now, before we dive in, welcome back to the channel. Whether you're new here or have been with me for a while, you know this space is about real talk. No games, no gimmicks, just grounded insight to help you build real, lasting love with quality men. And if you're someone who wants to stop the guesswork, build emotional connection, and create that spark that doesn't fade, then stick around, because what I'm about to share might change the way you see intimacy forever. We often hear a lot about what men want before sex, how to build attraction, flirt, create tension. But no one talks about what happens after, that quiet moment, the stillness, when the lights are low, your bodies are relaxed, and you think the connection is complete. But what if I told you that right there, in that window after sex, is when a man is most emotionally open to bonding? And here's the catch. Most women miss that moment completely. Not because they don't care, not because they're doing anything wrong, but because no one taught us how crucial that moment really is. So today, I'm going to walk you through the 5 emotional needs men have after sex, the ones they rarely voice but feel deeply. If you can understand these, not only will your physical connection deepen, but you'll also tap into something far more powerful, his emotional commitment. Let's get into it. After sex, most women are emotionally tuned into their own vulnerability, wondering what he's thinking, if he still feels close, or if this changed something between them. But what many don't realize is that men feel vulnerable in this moment too. And in fact, the emotional state a man is in right after sex can reveal more about his readiness for connection than anything he shows before it. We often see men portrayed as emotionally detached after sex. They roll over, get quiet, or seem to retreat into themselves. And the default assumption is he got what he wanted, he's done. But what if that moment of withdrawal isn't about detachment at all, but about fear? Because here's the truth. After sex, men experience a moment of internal questioning, even the most confident masculine men. Questions like, did I perform well enough? Was that enough for her? Does she still like me now that we've crossed that line? Was this just sex for her? These questions don't come out of a man's mouth, but they absolutely run through his mind, especially if he likes you, especially if he's unsure how secure the connection really is. You see, we live in a world where men are rarely taught how to express emotional needs. Instead, they're taught to bury them, replace them with stoicism or even distraction. But the need is still there. After sex, that need is magnified because in that moment, whether he knows it or not, he's asking himself, am I safe here emotionally? Can I relax into this? Or do I need to protect myself again? That's where your energy makes all the difference. And I'm not saying you need to suddenly become his therapist or start showering him with validation. This isn't about rescuing him. It's about reassuring him emotionally with something as simple as presence, eye contact, a gentle touch, a moment where you stay instead of getting up to check your phone or emotionally detaching. When you stay in the moment and meet him with warmth, calm, and acceptance, you communicate something powerful without saying a word. You say, you weren't just a physical outlet. You were chosen. You're still wanted. Now, it may not seem like a big deal, but it creates a kind of safety that men don't often experience. And the irony, when a man feels emotionally safe after sex, it increases his desire to be emotionally close beyond sex. It lays the foundation for connection, trust, and even commitment. So if you've ever wondered why some men pull away after intimacy, or why the chemistry fizzles after what felt like a powerful night, start by looking at this moment, the moment right after, because it may be less about what happened during sex and more about how safe he felt emotionally once it was over. And the woman who understands this, she becomes unforgettable, not just physically, but emotionally. There's something few people talk about when it comes to intimacy, and it's this: Men want to feel masculine, not just before sex, but after it too. You might think, well, sex is the ultimate display of masculinity, right? Doesn't that automatically make him feel like a man? Not quite. Yes, sex can boost a man's ego in the moment, but what really makes a man feel masculine is how a woman responds to him after that physical experience. Before sex, we often engage in this dance, flirting, teasing, building up attraction. And in that space, a man feels desired, wanted, powerful. But what most people don't realize is that those feelings can vanish instantly after sex if he doesn't feel appreciated for more than his performance. Let me explain. Many men grow up with the belief that their worth is directly tied to what they can do, how well they perform, how much they provide, how well they satisfy. That belief doesn't stop in the bedroom. In fact, sex is one of the most vulnerable places where this performance mentality shows up. After it's over, he's quietly wondering, was I enough? Did I make her feel something real? Was I a man in her eyes or just a body? And here's where a woman's response becomes everything. If you look at him with coldness, indifference, or even just emotional distance, he'll start to spiral inside. You might not say a single critical word, but if your energy feels like it's drifting away from him, he'll internalize that as, I wasn't enough, she's checked out. But if you meet him in that moment with admiration, genuine admiration, not about technique, but about who he is and how he made you feel emotionally, he lights up. Because that's what he's really craving. He wants to feel like your man, not just someone who satisfied you physically, but someone who made you feel safe, desired, and seen. You don't have to say anything grand. It could be as simple as whispering, I love how you take care of me. Or I feel so connected to you and I'm in your arms. Those words are gold to a man's heart. They don't just stroke his ego, they validate his identity in the relationship. And this is important. You're not feeding his ego in a manipulative way. You're simply recognizing the emotional experience he gave you. When he feels that appreciation, he associates intimacy with bonding, not just release. And that changes the game. The truth is, men aren't starving for sex. They're starving to feel like they're valued for what they bring into your emotional world. And after sex, that's when your words, your energy, your presence all become the mirror he looks into. Show him a reflection where he feels strong, capable, and masculine, and he'll want to keep showing up as that man for you again and again. One of the most confusing moments for many women comes right after sex, when the man who was just passionately kissing you, touching you, holding you close, suddenly gets quiet. Maybe he rolls over, maybe he closes his eyes, maybe he even seems like he's emotionally pulled away. And instantly your brain starts asking, what just happened? Did I do something wrong? Is he regretting this? That's the moment where so many women start to feel insecure, because what they see as disconnection might actually be something else entirely. Here's the truth. After sex, many men go into what I call emotional stillness. It's not coldness, it's not detachment, it's not a sign he's lost interest. It's simply how a lot of men process the emotional shift that happens in that vulnerable moment. You see, during sex, a man is fully in his body, engaged, present, focused. But once it's over, there's this wave that crashes over him. For some men, it's a mix of physical release and emotional overwhelm. For others, it's a kind of mental reset. Either way, there's often a pull towards silence, a desire for space, but not distance. This is where things get misunderstood. Because as a woman, you might naturally want to talk, cuddle, connect verbally. Your brain is still in the emotional dance. But for many men, the emotional connection doesn't show up in conversation after sex. It shows up in presence. And the women who understand this, they don't chase him in that moment. They don't overtalk, overanalyze. They also don't get up and leave the bed emotionally. What they do is stay close without pressure. That's the magic zone, non-demanding closeness. It could be lying on his chest in silence, letting your fingers lightly rest on his arm, breathing together, no words, just presence. And that kind of closeness, without the expectation to do anything, actually makes a man feel more emotionally bonded than 1,000 "where is this going" talks, because it tells him, I'm here with you, not just for the excitement, but for the quiet too. I don't need you to perform, impress, or entertain me. I just like being next to you. That is rare for a man. In a world where so much of his worth is tied to doing, fixing, proving, just being able to lie there and feel accepted in stillness, that's freedom. It's not about being passive, it's about being attuned. When you can feel the rhythm of that moment and give him space without pulling away, you become the safe space he didn't know he needed. And what's beautiful is that from that place of calm and acceptance, he'll often come back toward you, emotionally, physically, intimately, because you didn't chase. You didn't panic, you understood. And that's when a man starts to think, she gets me, and I don't want to lose that. There's a subtle but powerful shift that happens right after sex, a shift that can either bring two people emotionally closer or quietly create a wedge between them. And that shift has everything to do with what a man feels in the moments that follow. One of the most common mistakes I see women make in that window is this: they unintentionally evaluate instead of admire. Now, this doesn't come from a bad place. It's often rooted in insecurity or overthinking. You want to know if he enjoyed it, if he felt close, if you did well. So what happens is the moment after sex turns into an emotional report card, one that neither of you signed up for. You might say things like, was that okay? Did I do something wrong? What are you thinking about right now? Or in some cases, you might try to assess him. You got quiet. Are you pulling away? Is this just sex for you? Do you still feel the same way? And suddenly this beautiful, vulnerable moment turns into a pop quiz he didn't see coming. He's no longer relaxing in the afterglow. He's in an emotional interrogation room. Now, don't get me wrong, your feelings matter. It's okay to want reassurance, to want connection, but the timing of when you seek that emotional clarity matters deeply. Right after sex, most men aren't in a space to verbally unpack their emotions. They're in a moment of sensory and emotional processing. And if you turn that into a test or a performance review, he will feel judged, even if you didn't mean it that way. What men really want in that moment isn't evaluation, it's admiration, not fake praise, not ego stroking, but genuine, heartfelt appreciation. He wants to feel like he left an imprint, not just physically, but emotionally. So instead of overthinking or asking him to validate the moment, try simply saying what you felt. I love how present you were with me. That felt so intimate. I really feel connected to you right now. That kind of honesty doesn't ask him to defend himself. It draws him in. It lets him know that what just happened meant something to you, that you weren't keeping score or waiting to analyze. It was about connection, not performance. And here's the beautiful part. When a man feels admired in the aftermath of intimacy, he's far more likely to come toward you with his emotions, his vulnerability, his affection, because he doesn't feel like he's being measured. He feels safe, seen, valued. Think of it this way. Right after sex, a man is emotionally naked, even if he doesn't show it. If he feels honored in that moment instead of evaluated, he'll associate you with safety, warmth, and deep connection. And trust me, those are the feelings that make a man fall in love, not just with your body, but with you. There's something every man craves after sex, even if he doesn't consciously know it, something deeper than physical pleasure, more meaningful than attraction. And that something is a feeling of home. Now, I know that might sound poetic, maybe even vague, but stay with me, because this is one of the most powerful emotional truths about men that rarely gets spoken out loud. After sex, a man isn't just physically exposed. He's emotionally raw, especially if there's already an emotional connection between you. His guard is down, his thoughts are quieter. And in that vulnerable moment, There's one thing he's subconsciously searching for: emotional grounding, a place where he can exhale, a space where he feels accepted, not because of what he just did in bed, but because of who he is when all the noise fades away. That's what I mean by home. It's not about a house or a future or even commitment. Yet, it's about a woman who makes him feel like he's allowed to be his real self with her. The man behind the charm, behind the confidence, behind the performance. And here's the surprising part. You don't create that feeling of home with words. You create it with your energy. It's the way you rest your hand on his chest without needing anything. The way you lie there beside him, breathing in sync, not trying to fill the silence. It's the way you smile softly as you look at him, not with analysis, but with peace. That's the kind of presence that makes a man think, I don't have to prove anything here. I can just be. I don't want to rush out of this moment. I want to stay. When a woman can hold space like that after sex, she becomes unforgettable. Not because she was perfect, not because the sex was the best of his life. When a man finds that rare experience, that deep exhale, that feeling of being accepted, not for the show he puts on, but for the soul he carries, he doesn't forget it. He doesn't walk away from it easily, because more than sex, more than beauty, more than chemistry, he's found something sacred. He's found home in you. So let's bring this home. Sex isn't just physical. It's emotional, psychological, even spiritual. And what happens after sex can either deepen the bond between you and a man or quietly chip away at the connection you're building. Most women are taught how to get a man's attention in the beginning, how to flirt, how to create attraction, but very few are taught how to hold a man's heart. And often it's in those quiet moments after intimacy where his heart is most reachable. He's not going to come out and say, but because he felt a sense of emotional grounding in her presence. And that's rare, as most people rush right past that part. They either seek validation or shut down emotionally. But the women who stay grounded, who create that calm, emotionally safe atmosphere, those are the women men keep coming back to. Because life is full of chaos, expectations, noise. But if a man feels like you are the place where he can find peace, that's where he wants to land. You don't have to say anything profound. You don't have to ask what this means or where things are going. You just have to be there. Be warm, be soft, be still. That doesn't mean you lose yourself or suppress your own needs. It simply means you allow the moment to exist without forcing it to become something. I need reassurance, or I want to feel admired, or I just want to feel like I'm enough. He won't tell you that he's wondering if he still feels like your man, or if he's just a physical experience to you. But those questions, they're echoing inside him. And you have the power to answer them, not with interrogation or pressure, but with presence, with softness, with admiration, with warmth. That's how you become unforgettable. Because the truth is, sex might be what attracts someone in the short term, but it's how a person feels in your presence afterwards that makes them want to stay. That feeling of emotional safety, of being respected, of being seen, of being able to let go and just be, that's what every man is searching for, whether he knows it or not. And if you're the woman who knows how to give that, not by sacrificing yourself, but by showing up with grace and feminine strength, you become the person he doesn't just want to sleep with, but the person he wants to wake up next to. So here's your call to action. Don't underestimate your power in the quiet moments. Anyone can seduce with words and charm, but it takes real emotional intelligence to connect beyond the surface. The next time you're with someone physically, ask yourself, what am I making him feel after this is over? Does he feel like just a body that served a purpose? Or does he feel like he mattered, like he was chosen, seen, held? Give that gift. And you won't just have his attention, you'll have something far more rare. His trust, his openness, and maybe even his heart. Now go create that magic.